your camera is so sharp. Like our
I know.
I feel like ours look grainy, but that camera's good, whatever you got there.
It's I mean it's a webcam, not attached. It's y'all's webcams
Oh,
in your computer.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yep.
this one's not.
Yeah. And we don't have Macs, and I feel like the screen in the Macs is, I mean, the camera's always good, but these
Yeah,
PCs, yeah.
yeah. Did okay.
Wait, can I tell you something unrelated to this first?
Please, yes.
Okay. Yeah. Before we all have to suffer through talking about this movie.
It's
You
Jenna was
said
like,
it
it's going to be a
first.
short one today.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you're aware, but Netflix has games now.
I
And
didn't know that, no.
so if you look at the mobile app, one of the lines that suggests their own games, and I found one just now called Cats and Soup. And it's like a little sick how excited I am about it. Hungry for cuteness? Help cats boil soup to their heart's content in this cozy delight. Stir and chop
Oh,
ingredients, dress them up, and more. And it's just like cats making soup, and it's like two of my favorite things. So I did install
you
it, and I'll report
you
back on
do.
it.
Oh my God.
awesome. Thank you. I
Mhm.
didn't know about that. I bet a lot of people don't know about that.
Yeah, here
You
we are.
do love cats and soup so much. I feel like if Lauren could just have soup for dinner every day, she would be perfectly content. And
Yeah.
I would.
I would have the runs every single day. 'Cause for me, soup is not a meal. So,
That's funny. What was I gonna say? I started putting the workout videos on YouTube.
oh, okay.
Cool.
Nice.
As soon as I'm
Cool.
approved in 24 hours, we can make it a podcast on YouTube as well. That way, if anyone looks us up, it will
Yeah.
possibly show up.
Yeah, no, that's gonna help the SEO, you know.
Yeah, I turned off, I don't know what SEL is. I turned
Search
off,
engine optimization.
okay. I turned off the comments because I don't want any comments.
No, yeah, I don't feel like we need that.
No.
We have an email. All right. Oh, I gotta get my notebook. Sorry. One second. Not that I took that many notes, but hold on.
Lauren, I warned Jenna yesterday. I was like, I don't want to talk about it, but I really need to say something.
Yeah, she told me it was bad.
It was bad.
Oh,
I have notes, but I just feel like I'm either gonna say a lot or say very little.
yeah.
All right.
All right. Well, welcome to Rom-Com Me Not, a podcast where we talk about. Usually we act like we hate rom-coms, but secretly we love them. But today is a big exception where we hate this rom-com. So,
And
Well,
I hate that I hate it. I liked the two actors in it, and
Yeah.
I hate that it was so awful.
Yeah. No, Whitney, that's basically my opinion of this movie is that like it is not the actors and the actresses' fault that this is so bad. Like,
Oh, did we say what it was?
no. Oh,
We watched Happiness for Beginners, came out in 2023, fresh to
yes.
Netflix.
Yeah, a Netflix original, right?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, director Vicky White, and she was also a writer as well. It looks like writer director. Yeah, I don't want to be negative, but I'm just going to go ahead and say that I don't, yeah, I think the writing and the directing, like I hate to say that. I'm not a critic, I'm not a professional, but I didn't enjoy it. I felt like the actors and the actresses were fine. I think that there was so much potential in those actors and actresses that was just not harnessed. Like Ellie Kemper is a good actress. I know she is. I've seen her in other stuff. And honestly, like some of the characters that were meant for comic relief, I don't actually know their names off the top of my head, but some of the other people on this hiking trip, they had these like charming qualities to them that just for some reason just nothing landed for me.
They did. I feel like everyone served their purpose, but sorry to the writer director, but man, the writing was bad, and then the
Oh,
direction was worse.
even worse. Yeah,
Because the lines that they got, the delivery was
it was cringy. It
I
was
don't
hard.
know. I don't know. Maybe it was like someone's cousin and Netflix was like, here's $1 million. Just stop reaching out to us. Just leave us alone. That's what this feels like.
Just stop reaching out to us. Oh, so sorry to Vicky White. Maybe there's other factors, but yeah, it did not land. We have to be honest. Yeah, there was so many awkward moments where I'm like, I could tell that this was supposed to be hilarious, and it felt like the first take, right? So like maybe it's not Vicky White at all. Maybe Netflix had no chill and she didn't get to do her work properly.
Right. Or maybe it's the editing. Maybe the way
Maybe,
this movie was edited,
right.
They just picked the worst part.
Yeah, just can't. Yeah, everything feels like the first take to me. I feel like that's the best way to put it. So,
yeah. Lauren, you're quiet. What do you think?
Well, you know what? I actually was just pulling up the IMDb storyline description because I was thinking, all right, how do we even start talking about this? And the storyline, I actually didn't get some of these details that are in here. So it says a year after getting divorced, Helen Carpenter, 32, lets her annoying 10 years younger brother talk her into signing up for a wilderness survival course. First of all, I don't think he comes across as annoying. Second of all, I didn't know he signed her up.
I didn't
know that.
Yeah, I didn't think you signed her up either.
I didn't know she was 32. I don't know that I ever caught her last name.
Yeah.
Nope.
A lot of extra details here. It's supposed to be a chance for her to pull herself together again, but when she discovers that her brother's even more annoying best friend, I don't think he ever was annoying. I
When
don't
was
think
he
they made
annoying?
him annoying.
I think
Right.
that is the issue, is when we're first introduced to him in the initial flashback where we meet her brother and her on her wedding day. She was already annoyed with him and we had nothing. He was nothing but kind to her from the very beginning.
She acted like she didn't even know who he was.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Him being annoying was never the only person in this movie that annoyed me was her and the hike leader. The hiking
Did he
guy.
annoy you? I thought he was so funny.
You know what? I know somebody like that, so it really in real life it is not funny.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Let me say this. I suggested this movie because I saw the ad. So first of all, sorry everybody, but I saw the ad for it, and as someone that likes hiking, I thought that the Beckett character was pretty funny. I feel like
In the trailer.
hiking in the trailer, I thought that the different hiking personas were really accurate, right? Like the fast walker, the unprepared person. I thought it would be more funny. I think that's the only funny time that I had out of the whole movie. But if we were going to just start with the start, right? We open up, we see Ellie Kemper in a party where everyone else is dressed up and she is not. So she seems very uptight. She takes out a note of her aspirations for this hiking trip she's about to go on, reads them to herself, then angrily puts them away and yells to disrupt the whole party, asking where her brother is. Everybody can hear her and responds, but then weirdly, when the friend shows up, they can't hear each other at all. So the whole party can hear her ask a question, but this kid who's right across from her can't hear her ask at all. And then we get to go step outside and find out that the brother is down with his girlfriend, and Ellie needs the friend to give her house keys to the brother, and he looks disappointed and tells her that she used to be very fun.
Yes.
Wow. I am so intrigued by this tension between these characters.
Look, and it's like when they did the movie, they did a good job very aggressively saying what tone is being set in that moment, because when we open up and she's there at the party, everyone is standing up, she is sitting down, we immediately are like, wow, what an uptight woman, why is she even at this party? So nothing is explained. I got immediately frustrated because I'm like, why is she even there? They did not do a good job even leading into that scene to explain anything. I was just upset from the beginning, like, what? Why?
Yes, I agree.
And then you get...
Oh, sorry. You made a really good point there, though, that like they actually did do a good job just showing her sitting while everyone else is having a good time. You did it. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like they did too much.
Right. We know she's miserable. And then they just kept trying to hit us again. Yes, she's miserable. And then another thing. Yes, she's miserable.
Right.
And so we are also miserable.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Now I'm miserable. Yeah. This lady's rubbing off on me and I don't like it, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
At some point here too, we get the flashback to her wedding, right? We find out that she is 1 year out from being divorced. At the wedding, I don't know if I'm just not in touch with the times, but she's not wearing white.
oh,
She looks like a
I
bridesmaid.
think I feel like it was a wedding designed to not feel like a wedding because the groom didn't necessarily even. I got the idea that the groom didn't even want to be married, and this was kind of like a
Okay.
small, bit comfortable thing.
Yeah.
Right.
No, I think this might be kind of like what you were saying about the scene, Whitney, with the her sitting and everyone standing. Like they're setting maybe a tone with that, you
Mhm.
know. But also, Lauren, to what you said, I bet that the whole white wedding thing probably, I would imagine, we is going to be going out of style or maybe already has. I don't know. We don't go to a lot of weddings. We didn't have one. We didn't, you know, but like I I would just imagine that what that stands for, that purity and the, you know what I mean? Like that's probably going out of style too, but also I think for this movie, I think it's more setting the tone, like Whitney was saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
There's
we
also a
see.
scene oh sorry, real quick. I just wanted to take a note because you pointed it out, Lauren, when we were watching it, that where they have coffee cups in their hands. I don't remember what scene it was.
Oh, it's coming up. It's coming up.
Oh, it's coming up. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Coffee cups definitely empty. Let me just say that. Like
Yeah,
they're
they're
waving them
okay.
around.
So we're almost there. So at the wedding, the only thing I wanted to say is Ellie talks to her brother, and he's being very critical of her husband, which just feels like the wrong time to be doing that.
Yes.
That's exactly what I said. It's in all caps. It says, way to wait until she was already married and
Mhm.
on her wedding day to try to be noble and tell your sister that she's better than that.
Yeah, yeah. It was weird. It was weird timing. Again, I
Yeah,
think
like
there's
it's
no
over.
substance. They didn't put any work into that, so it's like, whoa, oh, it just kind of hits you in the face. Like, geez, all right, like random, you know?
Yeah, and then he says Jake thinks so too, right? So I guess now looking back, we're supposed to know that Jake liked her the whole time. And she says, "Who's Jake?" Which also is just mean.
Yeah, you don't know your brother's best friend? Like, how, what? That's so weird. Also, like, I don't get when he says Jake thinks so too. I don't get, oh, that means Jake likes her. Just because you don't think that somebody's good for somebody doesn't mean that that means you want them,
Mm-hmm.
you know? I just was like, okay, so Jake thinks so too. All right, like moving on, you know? I don't know. I didn't get anything from that.
So now we get to the coffee cup scene where the brother comes over to see her off, brings her a cup of coffee with 2 sugars. She's not taking sugar right now.
Oh, yes, that's one of our signs that she's so uptight. You know, it's
Yes,
like,
it
I don't put
really
sugar in my
was.
coffee. Am I uptight?
Oh my
Whitney is
gosh.
actively holding her head in her hand and shaking it right now.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, it was such a good way to communicate to us she's uptight. I mean, they did a great job. That was another great job that they did. Good job.
I mean,
I
I
do
guess,
not like her at all.
yeah, I guess they're doing too good of a job at that, right? Because it's
Yes.
like, yeah, we don't like her at this point, or honestly, any point in the movie, for me at least, I don't really like her ever. It's too much. It's too much.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, let's move on. Where are
All
we?
right.
Where are we now?
Yeah. Okay. So
Okay.
now she's going to her grandmother's house, right? Like she was raised
Well,
by. Oh, sorry. We have a lot of time jumps here at the beginning.
I know we do, but the one other thing about her talking to her brother, he is going to her house to house sit for her while she goes away. At first, I thought it was for a weekend. Come to find out, it's like a 3 week trip. He's
Mhm.
going to house sit for her, and she is needlessly mean to him, telling him to grow up. He's immature. The dude is bringing you coffee while taking over your duties for your home. Like he is nice and he is responsible.
Well, it
Yeah.
sounds like he accidentally ran over an animal at some point or something. You know, like wait,
But
remember they threw that in?
that's a story way later, and we
Oh,
find out
okay.
that that dog also lived 10 additional years. So we're talking like when they're
That's right.
kids.
Right. Yeah, because at this point she's only like early 30s, so this is like a long time ago. And also like that would be a fucking devastating accident, whether the dog lives or dies. Like that's devastating, right? Like not something I think I'd be tossing in someone's face 15 years later to show them how shitty they are. Like she's just mean, you know?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, so all right. So yes, so she's mean
I
to the brother.
I
Oh,
do
go
want to
ahead.
say, I mean, I think we all know she's projecting how she feels
Oh
about
yeah.
herself onto
Yeah.
other people,
Well, yeah.
but it's very much not forgivable.
Yeah, I just think it's like a little over the top. Like I feel like I get where they're going with all this. It's like Lauren said, it kind of reminded us of like the maybe Sweet Home Alabama, right? Like you don't really like her that much. She's kind of mean, like but you can tell that like that's it's a layer and that there's something inside, that's like better. But like I think that there's a lack of substance to this movie, that I keep noticing that like it just like to me, I can't see that this is just a layer. You know what I mean? Like it's almost like all of what she is to me instead of like, but I bet deep down inside, she's really just sad or something. Like I actually don't get that, like until much later when they very on the nose show me how sad she is on the inside. Like so I think for me there's just a lack of depth to these characters. That's like I see what they're doing with all this. They're hitting all the main points of rom-coms, like but just in a very shallow way. That's what I'm getting from it.
Yeah, agree. Well said. Very surface level
Mm,
as far as getting to know the characters.
right. So, Lauren, you're a lot better at keeping track of the timeline of the movie. Where do we go from here?
I don't know that I always am, but the hate fire I'm feeling is really fueling my detail-oriented summary.
I know where we are next. I know where we are because it bothered me.
Okay.
Okay.
So she left the brother, didn't we? Oh, never mind. I don't want to do this part. We end up going to the grandmother's house, like you said, Jenna
Yeah.
raised her, and it's just Grandma Goop.
Yeah. Grandma Goop.
What's her name in real life?
Oh, wait, the Goop
Blythe
lady?
Danner.
Blythe Danner. Yeah,
Oh,
Grandma Goop. That's
that's
Gwyneth
so that
Paltrow's mom.
oh, is that Gwyneth Paltrow's mom?
Mhm.
Oh, that's so funny. I did not know that. Well, that lady has some good acting credits on her record,
She
Got a
like
does.
Tony,
Yeah.
she's got an Emmy.
yeah, I don't think she's like a bad actress. Again, I don't think any of the actors and actresses are actually bad except for her brother. I do think that I don't really like that guy's acting, but then again, I don't know what he was being told. So,
Right.
yeah, that scene where she goes to the grandmother's house, again, it's just to me, it was just like all these like on the nose things. They're like forcing it in my face, like she's eccentric. She's important to her. You know what I mean? She's got this like fucking bed set up outside, which I was like, where are they? Like, where is it that it's not gonna rain ever? Like, what is
Well, and
that
they're
thing?
stargazing, but they don't turn the lights off.
Yeah,
It's very bright at that outdoor lounge area, and then they're looking at the stars, and Ellie's like, I can't see anything, and I'm thinking, turn the lights off. Turn the lights off if you're going to stargaze. This is
right,
not
because they're
real.
forcing the her being like, I can't, the big picture thing. Look closer at the big picture. They're forcing that in that scene awkwardly. Like what was the quote was she was like, look closer at the big picture, and she was like, yeah, see, that's the thing about a big picture, like I can't write. Like I was just like, oh, okay, this dialogue is weak.
Well, I
Again,
thought they
not
were trying to say Big Dipper. I kept correcting them in my
oh
brain. Surely they're talking about a constellation.
the Big Dipper, not the big picture.
Here's what I didn't like about that part. What is it? Ellie Kemper. Helen goes on to tell her grandmother, I've never been camping. I don't even know how to make a s'more, and saying everything she doesn't know how to do, and she doesn't know how she's going to do while camping. But the personality type that we've gotten already revealed to us about Helen is uptight, and she would have researched for weeks and
Yes,
preparing for this trip. So it's
I
a
totally
little
agree.
unbelievable for me what we've been presented with is just going in blind. I don't think so. So that seemed a little not
Mhm.
in line with who the character that we've been introduced to. I just don't believe it. She would be very well educated and know every single step that they were going to do every day.
Yeah, I mean, they show her with a notebook at, like learning at one point, like on the camping trip. What were you gonna say, Lauren?
Well, I'm getting lost in my mind now. I'm thinking maybe they're trying to show the reason she'd get into that marriage with that dude is because she would ignore research. But then
I
at the
don't
same
know.
time, when she gets to the backpacking place, she like demands that she gets the wilderness book so that she can
Yeah.
do her last minute research. So either way, it doesn't really make any sense.
They didn't do enough to show why that relationship wasn't good, honestly. Like I think all they really showed me was that maybe the guy's like a little aloof and annoying, but I didn't really see, I don't know. They didn't put enough effort into the backstories on these things, but
Oh my
and
God.
then
One other thing about that grandma, though, the reason that Ellie is there, or Helen, sorry, I'll start trying to use the name Helen's there alone is because Gigi is at book club. And I just keep having these realizations that I'm just an old woman because I'm into the cat and soup making game. I joined a book club and dragged Jenna there.
yeah, but our book club is not having the kind of party that this one ends up having.
I
We're skipping
know.
ahead here, but I
I
don't think
know.
that's where our book club is going.
Not yet.
Not yet, I guess. Oh, that's funny. No, but you know what? Like again, the Gigi character, like there was a lot of potential there, but it just fell flat for me, like totally. Is this now when after that scene with the grandma, where we get like the exposition of like not being able to look closer at the big picture? This is, oh my God, I have a note here that I even just stopped writing halfway through because I kept getting, it says she's not really nothing. I wrote nothing after that.
What do you think it was supposed to say?
I'm
She's
trying to
not
figure it
really
out.
a real person. This can't be a
Yeah.
real movie.
I honestly like I have no idea what I was going with there, but yeah, I think you just hit it, Whitney. I can't finish that sentence. But now
Oh
she's
man.
driving, right? Now she's driving to the trip,
Yep.
and
Get
then as soon as she
FaceTimed.
like, oh sorry, yeah, as soon as she gets to the parking lot, boom, Mike FaceTimes her after not talking to her for months, right? And
Yes,
he's like,
Mike, her
oh
ex-husband. Mike, her ex-husband.
yes,
Yes.
yes,
Well,
and
and
he's
no,
like,
it's they do talk. It's not talking for
oh,
months. They do
oh,
talk. That's the whole problem is she keeps taking the phone calls.
oh, okay, I missed that detail. Okay. Yeah, so she picks up the call. He's like, "Oh, like I realized I wasn't participating in the marriage, and I guess that's like kind of like supposed to set you up to make it feel complicated for her, you know."
Yeah, now that we're divorced, I think I can be present for a marriage.
Yes, which I'm sure that probably does happen, a lot. Like I would imagine. I mean, I feel like maybe it does. Maybe I've seen that before. So
You know,
again, yeah, sorry, go ahead.
no, what I don't understand here is that Helen gets off the phone saying, I'll call you when the trip is over. She gets off the phone, and the only feeling it looks like she has is kind of annoyance. Where if you feel like you're working through your divorce and it's been this complicated thing, you might have a little more emotion than, oh, I wish he would just stop calling me.
Yes. Yeah, it seems like her annoying brother
Right.
again, because I feel like Ellie Kemper in this movie, again, great actress, love Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt and like other things she's done. Like she's awesome, but like she just has this constant, consistent, persistent, just like little brother annoyance about everything. Like,
Mhm.
you know what I mean? Like everybody is her annoying little brother, like, yeah. So I think even in that scene, that's kind of what I got out of it too. And then I have a note here because she goes right from there into the motel where they're going to stay before the trip. Oh, you know what? I had another thought. So she lives in Pennsylvania, right? That's what her license plate said. And she's driving through New York to get to Connecticut. Like, I think I need to look at a map because I was really confused about the mountain ranges that were shown on the drive, you know?
Yeah, you have to go through. Yeah, you think about when you drive from New Jersey, you have to go over bridges in New York to get over to 95 in Connecticut. So if you're coming from PA, you'd have to,
What
I mean,
mountains are those? There's no mountains that big out there. There isn't.
but the Appalachian Trail does run northwest New Jersey, a little
Hmm.
bit of New York into Connecticut, Massachusetts, right? So you have the Berkshires. I don't know what the range is called in Connecticut, but there are mountains, but the mountains in the movie weren't very big. There were
No,
no like
no,
stone,
just no, right. There was no like above tree line or anything.
no.
Yeah. But on that drive though, they did I don't know if we don't have to harp on it, but I was confused on the drive as to like where she was coming from, what direction she was going. What was that one mountain range that they showed that I don't believe exists in that part of the
It
Northeast?
does. We'll look at a map later. It does.
Okay, all right. So then, all right, sorry for that distraction. But then the very next thing, she walks into the plaza, and my note is cue in super gay friend. Just it was just so like, oh my god, again, like I love the idea of that character, but like it was just so on the nose, like oh, here we go, this is gonna be the comedic relief, like gay best friend. Like I don't know, it just felt corny. But I like that guy, like he's funny, and I feel like he has so much potential. Like I want to see him in something else, like
Nico Santos.
yeah, like he was funny. That guy is a funny person, but the writing and just the too on the nose.
Oh, I guess he was in Crazy Rich Asians. I haven't seen that yet.
I haven't seen that
Oh,
I
either.
Guardians
haven't
of the
seen that.
Galaxy? He's in
No?
Guardians of the Galaxy?
Who is he? What's it say?
I'm looking.
Ooh, ooh. Oh man. I mean, honestly, I feel like he should get cast in another rom-com as the gay best friend, just with with some more time and attention and patience, like because he
Oh,
would be good.
he's not anyone major in it. I wonder if I can find it on screen share.
Also, I guess I'm just assuming he's gay. I'm not sure that they ever actually say anything about that, but it
Well,
does
they
seem
talk
like
about. Go ahead. Go ahead.
He has a crush on Jake.
oh,
Oh, also, he talks about how his dad named him Hugh after Hugh Hefner, and then he joked how his dad thought he was going to be a ladies' man. And
yes. Okay. So it's not me just assuming. But
Okay,
it is a little
Nico
tropey, so I just yeah.
Nico Santos plays recorder. Is it Thiel? Theel?
I have no idea what you're talking about right now.
Talking about Guardians of the Galaxy.
Oh, okay. Well, while
Anyway.
you look at that, we also get it introduced to another character that's like a little over the top and on the nose to me, the motel attendant, who also had potential to be so funny and
Mhm.
just fell flat. It fell flat for me. I'm like, okay, I can see where this was supposed to be funny. But it's not coming across that way. But I definitely don't think it's the actress. She seems like a funny actress. So I don't know. I was disappointed at that actually, because I was like, this is a moment where I really wanted to laugh,
Mhm.
like, oh yeah, here's my note. The mountains they showed earlier were definitely not Connecticut. I don't know. Anyway, moving on. I'm a little stuck on that.
I don't know.
Help me, Lauren. Help me get out of here. Where do we go next?
Okay, we're at the motel again. I think you're right. I think this is another annoying piece about the movie is everybody's like a cliched version of what the character is, which
Yes.
feels
Yes.
lazy, And
Yes.
so we have the girl who's the front desk person at the motel, and she's got steam because that's her vibe, and she's got the sideways trucker hat because that's her vibe, and they're too charactery, But anywho, so
they're like a
and there's-
caricature of themselves.
Yes. 100%.
Yeah. And then she goes to her room, looks around. There's the jacuzzi tub that's shaped like a heart, and we get that look that's supposed to be like, oh, of course, right? But again, Whitney, to your point, we don't feel good about, or we're not feeling compelled that she's like heartbroken. So I don't really feel sympathy for the jacuzzi tub in the shape of a heart.
Yeah, like who cares? You're at a shitty motel in the middle of nowhere. Like it is what it is. Like it doesn't have any meaning. Like it falls flat. I'm gonna keep saying that. I mean, it's a little gross, probably. I think if I walked into
Yeah,
a
there's
room
no
that
way
looked
I would
like
get
that,
in there.
yeah, it would be like, But yeah.
Okay, so we're at the motel, hotel, Holiday Inn.
I really hope you keep that.
And then don't we arrive at training now, the orientation for this outing?
Yes,
think
the
it
next
just, like,
morning.
Yeah, it just goes immediately to the next morning, and it's Beckett's face, like welcoming everybody or whatever.
I did realize in our short break why I like Beckett, and it's because he tells them to stop talking. He tells them to shut up, and he's the only one in here that has that authority, and I appreciate him. So
I think that character had so much potential. Sorry, what were you gonna say, Lauren?
I think that character actually is the only character that is exactly who he's supposed to be the whole time.
yes.
Yeah, what I don't like about him, and again, I think maybe this is again, he might just be too similar to the person that I know that is just like him for me to enjoy him, but like, and I know they're not gonna hear this, so I am not worried about it. But like to me, like throughout the movie, I just kept on thinking like, all right, Beckett, it was funny in the beginning, but why are you so mad? Like you're obviously taking newbies into the woods. They're gonna do these things. Like, you know what I mean? Like he just seemed like too mad. But again, I don't want to disparage the whole character because I do think that I agree with what you just said, Lauren, and I think there was a lot of potential in that character, but it's just like overdone, is how I feel. But
Yeah, I mean, I think that he is supposed to be taking people into the wilderness, like you said, beginners, and he is being really firm and serious about it because it can be dangerous. He's not being fun.
right.
That's
Yeah.
why I think he is who he's supposed to be. But
Hmm. Yeah.
but yes, our very young looking trail guide.
Just yeah, I don't whatever. We don't have to.
I felt like this show at this point, so we're about to be introduced to all the characters. I really felt like the movie would have been better as like a 6-part miniseries or something, because then we would have gotten a little bit more into the characters, maybe a little bit more introduction. I wonder if they just kind of forced too much into the movie.
Oh, you're right. I think it would have been way better like that because then yeah, we would have had more time to spend and we could have introduced more substance and
And like answered the questions, why is Beckett, other than knowing that somebody broke their leg on the trip last year, which must be a pain in the ass.
yeah.
I wonder if there's more to his backstory that would explain why he's, another trend, I guess, for the movie is uptight. Why he's so
Yeah.
uptight. But it's probably
But
for safety reasons.
oh, for sure, for sure. It's just yeah, like I in the beginning it wasn't bothering me as much. I think more towards the end I was like, okay, Beckett, like calm down, calm down. Like it
Mm-hmm.
but I get it. Like I get where they're yeah, I think I agree with what you said, Whitney, that this would have been better as like a mini series. I think that you're right about that. And I think that would have helped Beckett out a lot. Like,
Yes, all of them. I think it would have helped the main characters out a
yeah,
lot as well. A little bit more from Helen would have been great, just to
yeah,
have. I would like to have empathy for her and not have to go searching for empathy. Do you know what I
yes.
mean? Just,
Mhm.
I mean,
Well,
searching for empathy just to get through the movie.
yes, I totally agree. But one part that did make me laugh here, which I really didn't laugh out loud a lot, but the was when she said, first question, how old are you?
Yes. And then what did he say immediately? He said, "This isn't about me." And I
Yeah,
loved that he just shot it down.
yeah, that was funny. That really was
Yes.
funny. Like, yeah, that and that moment right there, that's the Ellie Kemper I know. You know
Hmm.
what I mean? And I was like, oh, there she is. There she is. Like that's her being good, like I don't know. So or being funny, I mean.
So we're at this orientation. We get a couple rules, be safe, but then Beckett, the guide or whatever, asks everyone to stand up and introduce themselves, name and why you're here. And we get again um all of the characters. Now I'm feeling annoyed about something else because they all stand up and introduce themselves and they're all again caricatures, right? We have the debate team girl who is, a vow of silence but can't stay quiet. We have the Wall Street bro who's been hiking since he was a baby, Mason, and like he's just such a trope, right? We have the girl who's afraid of wood because her dad made a
Kaylee or Kaylee, I think. Yeah.
Kaylee, yeah, because her father made a log cabin for the family that wasn't waterproof, right? So
Oh
she's
my
trying to
gosh.
go,
What I love about this is that they do this story and then they mention it one more time. Look at all the wood when they start hiking, and that's it.
yes,
Yeah.
that's
So
it.
What a
weird.
struggle that was.
But again, so here's what annoys me, right? And then Helen stands up and she talks for way too long, and I think we're supposed to think that's kind of funny, but it's just not
Well, when
funny.
he well, when he shoots her down, like she goes into her thing and then he like shoots her down right away. Like I think that was what was supposed to be funny. I saw the
Yeah,
potential there, but it just again it fell flat.
yeah,
Mhm.
and then so there's 8 people on this hike. All right, now I'm annoyed about 2 things because I'm remembering something else. There's 8 people on this hike. So we're in a whole conference room. There's only 8 people. There are plenty of empty chairs, but only when Jake stands up to introduce himself does Helen realize he's in the room also. Seriously? There's presumably no one else even staying at this motel because you don't see anyone else.
Right.
Right? So that's insane.
Funny.
And then the
All
other
right.
thing, everybody is just a caricature of themselves, as Whitney said. And later in the movie, Kaylee, the girl who is scared of wood, she says, "We're all more than we seem, aren't we?" But they never really develop that. Nobody's more than they seem, except for her, because we find out that she's really good at trading stocks in
Yeah.
Yeah, she's the one that's
precious
more than
metals.
who it seems. Yeah, but she didn't need to say that. Like that, I think like really good movies like can do that without a character saying it. That's exposition. That's needless exposition.
Mhm.
Not a good use of Kaylee, in my opinion, because that's another character where I'm like, yo, this could have been hilarious. She's the only one that made me laugh, really, in this movie.
Yeah.
And I just, yeah, I feel like she was so underutilized for comedy. But they tried, but it just ended up being weird. I
One of
mean,
the
when
characters
she, oh no, I was just gonna say when she dropped that she was a stock trader when she was talking to Mason, that was funny. That really was like,
that was funny and a nice surprise. I was gonna say I kind of liked the introduction. Another stereotype is just gonna be like the sorority girl, health girl who was Wendy, not Wendy, but Wendy with an I.
Yeah.
and I heard no difference in you saying either one of those.
And she was great because she immediately, and you see what they were trying to do there, but it didn't exactly work. She immediately started hitting on Jake, and that was
Yeah,
fine. It was
yeah,
fine.
yeah. Oh
But
yeah,
I
Wendy. Forgot about her. Yeah. She did immediately start hitting on him. But
right, and I
she's
I think that was supposed to get Helen's attention and make Helen realize something, but it doesn't work for a very long time, and I'm not even sure it worked until
the end.
like they didn't even need it. They didn't need
Yeah.
it.
I know. Helen didn't really respond to that. Or like she did, I guess, like where she got like a little defensive when they were in the tent, which I guess we'll get to, but like yeah, like there was nothing wrong with Wendy liking this guy. Like Ellie doesn't really, or Helen doesn't really seem like she likes him at all. Like I don't think she's ever thinking about him. She doesn't even know his fucking name at the wedding. Like
Mm-mm.
this is not, these characters do not have a history. Like, and I think that that kind of ruins some of these other things, like what you're saying with Wendy, because they don't have a history. What is Helen supposed to be jealous about? Like, she doesn't even know she likes this guy yet.
Right. Well, so they do the rest of the training, they get their backpacking gear, and then they leave the training or the orientation, and Helen and Jake go have their little confrontation in the hallway.
Wait,
Yes,
hold
Whitney.
on. I
Man
really
spreads.
want to mention because it's another reason you just don't root for Helen. Helen forgot her shoes. She forgot her
Yeah,
hiking boots that she was supposed to be breaking in for
yeah,
weeks. And
yeah.
what does Beckett say immediately? He goes, "You're the problem."
That was funny.
That was funny.
Yeah, that was in the
But
trailer, I think.
it's just come on, Helen. There's a list of things that was required for this trip. You've been
Yeah,
harping on this trip. You are 100% unprepared for this trip.
yes. I feel
Yes.
like a good hiking guide, honestly, probably would have told her she can't do it on that round because
Yeah.
of that. Like, that is a big mistake. And they
Yeah.
say that in the movie, how much of a mistake it is, and it ends up becoming a problem. But again, I feel like it's just planted there so that Jake can tend to her blisters,
Yes.
And
Yes.
yeah,
But then Lauren continues. So they're dismissed. They get to go do stuff, eat dinner, and then the next morning they're gonna meet. And when they're dismissed, Jake and Helen meet in the hallway.
And
yes,
they agree that they won't even look at each other, right? Helen's pissed that he's there. He says that he signed up weeks ago. He didn't even know she was going on this trip. Again, just another little detail that I'm annoyed about. He walks out of the room with his backpack. Helen does not walk out of the room with her backpack. She then follows Beckett down the hall, gets a handbook about researching the what's going on the trip, never goes back for her backpack.
Oh man,
Obviously, we're meant to
that
think she
annoys.
does that off screen, but it just all these little things, like, made me feel mad. So the next morning they get up, they get on the bus. She
Well, hold
sits
on,
next. Oh,
hold
yes.
on. I just want to say,
Yes.
in that scene in the hallway, though, that was supposed to be a lot of sexual tension, and maybe there actually, I think there was coming from Jake, actually. And Ellie, see, that's like the one moment where I'm like, oh, okay, like there's some tension between these
It
characters.
really
That
looked like it. They really
yeah,
built that up there. It worked. They built
yeah.
sexual tension right there, but I don't know that Helen knew there was sexual tension.
No, it seems like she wasn't a part of it, but like it was there, like she was producing some of it, but she didn't seem like present in it. Like
Yeah.
it was so weird, but he clearly was. And like, I guess if that wasn't her brother's friend, I probably wouldn't like some guy blocking me in a hallway like that. But again, there's supposed to be this history. This is where the writing is getting, that could have been way sexier if we actually had their history, you
Yes.
know? Yeah. Okay. Anyway, sorry, Lauren. I just had to call
No,
attention
good.
to that. Yeah.
Yeah, good point. Good point. Right. So now the next morning they get on the bus to go on the trip. And again, she was supposed to bring a book, it seems. Everybody has a book, and she chose not to bring a book.
I didn't even catch that.
You didn't catch that. They were allowed to bring a notebook to write in as a journal and then a book to read, one book to read.
Oh, the book to read. Yes. And she didn't bring one.
She couldn't even bring a book.
Because she wanted to
Yeah.
be present in the experience.
I liked, but you know what I liked in that scene though was, what was it, Mason or was it Jake that looked at her like, you idiot? Like somebody
I
gave
don't
her
know.
a real, yeah, I don't remember who it was, but it was actually pretty good. Because that's how I would feel too. Like, oh, you dummy. Like you right, like you're gonna be so bored, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, because what did that one guy, Nick Santos, sorry, I'm trying to get back to it so I can like say proper names, but I am
Hugh.
lost.
Oh, Hugh.
Yeah.
I think Hugh was it Latin American influences in Asia or something like that?
Yes. That was funny too. And he was like, I will let you know after I read like what those are.
Yes, he had no idea anything
Yeah.
about it. And then Wendy with an I, which one did she have? Because I know Jake had some sort of encyclopedia on animals.
She
Yeah.
had a psychology textbook. Everybody brought nonfiction.
Oh yeah, that's Lauren, you were annoyed at Wendy because she was acting like she was the creator of positive psychology, which it's like a whole field.
Mhm.
Yeah, it is newer, but yeah, when
Yeah.
she later on describes that, right? She's like, yeah, psychology originally was, diagnosing problems to fix them, but I just feel like we should be doing this. And it's like, no, you don't feel that way. There's actually somebody that created positive psychology like 15
Right.
years ago.
Right. That you
And
are
you
now
didn't come up
studying.
with gratitudes. That's like a well-researched thing.
Yes. Yeah. That was so annoying. But like I think that again, Wendy though, or sorry, Wendy, like again, not a bad actress, like at all, though. You know what I mean? Like she's actually pretty good. She's good.
Mhm.
Mason, great actor. He Now that we're gonna start getting into more Mason stuff, I just want to say, like, my hot take for this movie is that Mason has chemistry with everybody. He, to me, had better sexual tension than any other character on this show. That's what came across to me about Mason. I was like, yo, he could make out with Hugh, Jake, Wendy, any of them. Beckett, who?
Kaylee, he's always sitting with Kaylee.
Kaylee, yeah, if Mason ended up hooking up with any other character, I would have been like, yes, like that, saw that coming. Oh man, the way he
All right.
looks at people, like,
I know.
Yeah.
So they arrive, they get off the bus. Everybody goes to the bathroom. Immediately, Helen, again, another thing I'm annoyed about. Helen goes to the bathroom and then like hits her knee on a rock, but she doesn't seem phased. And all I'm trying to say is if I walk by a coffee table and hit my knee, I am like crippled for an hour, holding my knee, waiting for the pain to go away. She gashes her knee and she's unfazed.
There is so much blood for that little trip that she took. And yeah,
Yes.
for her to be like, oh, it's fine. Like, no,
It's weird.
no.
The whole
It's
shin
weird.
of her pants is red.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's weird. Yeah, Beckett has like a very appropriate reaction to that.
Do you
And
remember
again,
what
if
they
I was
say?
Beckett, I would be like, you need to get back on the bus. You can't do this trip.
What do they say, Whitney?
I don't know. I can't figure it out fast enough.
Well, I just remember Mason standing there like, seriously, Helen? Come on, Helen.
We haven't even left yet.
Yeah.
I don't even know if that's what they say.
I like Mason.
Here we go. I'm almost there. Give me a sec.
Mason he looks like Drake, first of all. Like like a bigger, beefier Drake, you know?
It's so funny you guys keep talking about Mason because I could, if he wasn't in the movie, I wouldn't have noticed.
No way.
Yeah,
That's
hang on, I'm
so
coming up
funny.
on it. He says, "Let's go, people," and then he turns around. Oh, what the hell is that?
Is that what he
Is
says?
that blood? Are you serious? We haven't even started yet.
I
God,
thought
who's
that
got
you
the
were
med kit?
I thought you were reacting to your computer. I was
No,
like,
I
what
was
just came up?
reading it.
Oh,
I was reading the subtitles.
that's
Oh my
funny.
gosh.
Oh, you have the
Yeah.
movie.
Oh yeah. I try to keep the movie up in case we get lost.
Oh, that's
Smart.
really smart. Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah. Okay, so anyway, Jake tends to it, right? Because Jake's a doctor. Like, and I don't we find this out at some point.
I love this part where he tends to her knee, not
You
for
do.
any dialogue, but because her pants zip off. And I didn't know this. So all of a sudden, she just, like when he's tending to her, we don't see her take off that pant leg. We just see that she has one pant and the other side is a short. And it was really distracting. And I didn't know what was going on until he went to put it back up.
Oh my
And
God, that's so funny.
it it was so funny.
I had pants like that for years. In fact, I had a nickname because of okay, so like those are just like hiking those are like hiking pants. Like they serve that purpose of like, okay, you can turn them into shorts anytime just to help regulate your body temperature when you're hiking. But
Mm-hmm.
when the whole time I was coaching at URI, those are the pants that I wore pretty much the whole time. Because rowing coaches also tend to wear stuff like that. So like and my nickname, because I wore them all the time, the academic advisors started calling me Shants. And every time they saw me in the hallway, they'd be like, "What's up, Shants?"
Oh my gosh.
Chance for shorts and pants, right?
Yeah, yeah. You gonna turn those pants into shorts? Are you gonna turn those shorts into they just like couldn't let it go. Like the whole yeah, I wore those a lot. So I knew exactly what she was wearing.
Well, just like those advisors, I cannot let it go. I was so confused and then like, oh, okay.
Well, you know what's funny? That actually was a funny scene too, because I've never seen zip off pants turned into something that could be sexual, but he's reaching them up and then she
Yeah,
looks at him like, what are you doing?
yeah. He's a
Yeah,
little forward with her. I will say. Like
yeah.
she doesn't even know him apparently. So, and he's got the arm over her, he's doing the pants thing, like he's pretty confident about his attraction to her for her not really having fucking anything for him. I'm not saying it's wrong of him to be that way. Like right? Like he's in love with her, he knows her. It's her that doesn't seem like she knows him that makes it weird.
Mm-hmm.
Like again, if I knew that these people had a history and they go way back, those things would just be like cute. But to me, I'm like, yeah, but like she barely knows you, bro. Like it's again, it's the writing and the that makes it weird.
Yeah.
But yeah, he does do a good job of it. Like
Yeah.
yeah,
They get going on the hike. Mason's real fast and annoyed that everyone's slow. Helen's super slow. We start seeing her shoes bother her a little bit.
And wait, what's the first thing she does? Is she walks on a log. The
Right.
first thing she does after
Yes.
not having her shoes, after
yeah,
already has a wound,
Yep.
then she gets on a log and it's like in the top 5 rules.
yep, yeah. Beckett should have sent her back back to the bus.
Well, Beckett's also trying to make money, you know. That's like the problem with these types of trips is you have all these people pay you. I mean,
Yeah.
all right, here's a humble brag, right? So when I was hiking in Patagonia,
Oh my God. When I was hiking in Patagonia, yeah, that is humble brag. You can't, there's no way to bring that up without
No,
that
there's
being a
not.
brag.
But all I was gonna say is so we're on the first day of this thing. You have to go up a lot of elevation to get to one of the more iconic scenes, but there was this tour group with like 40 people in it, single file, going down this very rocky, like mile long, like rocky part. There was no way to pass them, but it felt really unsafe because they all seemed unprepared. to be doing that kind of hike. They didn't have the right kind of equipment, but then now everybody else that's hiking is like stuck as the sun's going down, waiting to get past these people. And I think that it's great that people get out into the wilderness, and I think there's certainly a way to do that. But I don't know, just made me think about that a little bit, how unsafe it is actually to put people in that position, but it's a huge moneymaker. So
yeah, well, that's probably what Beckett's case is like, yeah, well, he loves the outdoors, but he's also like trying to make money. And I feel like they tried to show that a few times, but it just kept falling flat. But I think ultimately that is what they're alluding to when they're like, oh, the broken leg last year and this and that. Like, but
under new management.
Yeah, they just didn't do a good job though. But
okay,
yeah,
so she
first
steps
thing
on
she
the
does,
log.
yeah, she's annoying. Yeah.
Important point. Beckett gets pissed because logs can be rotted out and you could hurt yourself, and so she gets in trouble for that. They continue on the rest of the hike, right? Mason goes on ahead to get to the lunch spot, and then now I'm blanking.
I mean, not much happens. They get to a certain spot. They learn how to hang up their food by throwing it over limbs and basically being partners. That night, it's Wendy with an I and Helen in the same tent. Wendy,
Helen with an H.
Yeah.
Oh, Wendy with an I, Helen with an H.
Thank you.
I hated this tent scene because I was like, Wendy's trying to bond with her. She just like shuts her down, and then Wendy's like, all right, going to bed then, I guess. Like, you're a bitch, like, like.
Yeah. There was no substance to it. I think that's why we don't really remember what's happening through here.
It's just Wendy saying she's got a crush on Jake, right? And Helen saying Jake's a loser.
Yeah, it's like mean. It's just mean.
Yeah. Yes.
Like, it's like, why are you being so fucking mean? Like, and the only note that I have for this whole section of the movie is their conversations are really forced. And that's it. That's all. And the characters are not growing on me. Those are my notes.
Yeah, but yeah, it is. It's beaten into you. Like Helen is not. She's not nice about Jake, and we get nothing to back that up. Give me a short story of when he was like a little shit when you were younger.
Yes.
You know what I mean? But we get
something.
Nothing. The only introduction we have to him is him being kind and wanting you to be happy. That's it.
Yeah, exactly. Like, he's just like the nicest guy in the world, and she's just so mean. And like, that's just making me think, like, in Sweet Home Alabama, I feel like just by opening the movie with that little scene of them in childhood did wonders for building like they were able to flash forward and we have this feeling, right? All they had to do was just one scene from their childhood or even middle school or something where Jake is just being a shit. Like, that would have helped so much.
Yes.
And Helen being nice.
Yeah, and maybe Helen liking him a little or something. Like, that would have helped. Like, although her brother's 10 years younger than her, that's another thing. This is a major age gap here, right? So, like, my brother's
I didn't realize that about the ages. Also, I didn't pick up that.
Yes.
You sure it's a 10-year age gap?
Yes, well, she says that at some point. No, but I also remember it because my brother is.
Wait a minute. So he's supposed to have been a doctor?
No, he's
already?
A doctor.
He's got to be older than the brother.
He has gotten to be a doctor and quit.
Yeah, so he's got to be older than the brother, right? Because that stood out to me for a couple of reasons. Because first of all, my brother is almost a decade younger than me. Like, I'm like 9 years or 8 or 9 years older than him. So like, that is a major, major age gap. And
imagine me hitting on your brother or your brother hitting on me.
I just can't. Like, I just can't. You're 10 full years older than him. And I also can't imagine you caring enough about his friends being annoying that it would actually bother you.
Yeah.
He's so much younger. Like, it's weird.
This all doesn't make any sense anymore. Officially, it doesn't make sense. If she's 32 and her brother's 10 years younger, but he's a childhood friend from growing up and he's already been a doctor and quit, then he must have been a child prodigy. Prodigy. Whoa.
Prodigy.
What I am not, apparently.
Yeah.
Not an adult prodigy either. Wow. Anywho, he must have been a genius. How's that? At 12, become a doctor and then quit by the time he was
But
22.
then let's just say maybe he's 5 years older than his friend or something. Like, I don't know. Again, no matter what you do to make it work, it never makes sense to me that she is that aggressive towards him.
Yes.
Yeah.
Here's the Netflix description. Do y'all want to hear it? It's very
Yeah.
short.
Okay.
I mean, it's more on point. Says, at a crossroads after her divorce, a school teacher ventures towards a fresh start in life and love. No, when she signs up for a grueling group hiking trip. She didn't sign
It's
up
more-
for love. Ah!
She did not. She did not sign up for love almost at any point in this movie. Like, Jake
She hardly
is
signs up
signed
for it at the end.
She hardly signs up for it at the end. I agree. Like, Jake is signed up for love. Jake is quite in love with his very much so older, like,
There is
friend's
no way
older
he's
sister.
22. I think we've established IMDb. Somebody's
Yeah.
wrong. Somebody's wrong. We're right. He's older.
Yeah. Yeah, it can't be. Okay.
Okay, but I just want to say this. Helen says that she was 6 and the brother, spoiler alert, that we learned that passed away was 5. So they're like Irish twins, right? Like 6 and 5. But Duncan is not around yet. Or was he?
No, he wasn't around yet, and that's why the friend defends him. Jake defends Duncan because
Right.
he's like, well, Duncan lost his parents too. Like, yeah, he didn't lose the brother like you did, but he did lose your parents too. Like, remember he like defends him when they're talking in the tent.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So Duncan's at least more than 6 years younger than her.
But let's say
according to the
6
movie.
years younger. So she's 32. So that would make him, what, 26?
Yeah,
So even so, is that enough time for...
I think you would just be becoming a doctor at 26. Like, you would just be becoming one.
Right.
I'm sorry, but Helen comes across as at least 37.
Yeah, she does.
Yeah.
She does not seem like she's 32.
32 is a really big surprise to hear.
She actually looks older than all three of us, you
Yeah.
know, like in our ages range, right in that age range. She looks much older than all three of us. So I don't get it.
Yeah, I don't think anyone was paying attention when they were creating the descriptions or the script.
Yeah. No,
And then I'm
again,
like,
yes. So
it was
that's
based on
why
a
I blame-
novel. And I'm like, is the novel any good?
We should like
Oh, it
thumb through
is?
that and see, like, because I feel like the writers, this was all done very fast. I think that's what it is. Like,
Mhm.
and I'm not just blaming the one Vicky lady. There's obviously a team. I'm sure she wrote it, but there's like obviously a team at Netflix, and I
Yeah.
I just don't think it's the quality that it should be. Okay, but so anyway, so going from there, where do we go from here? Because my next note is the only time that I laughed really hard out loud, and it's when Kaylee said that when they were sharing with each other, and she says, "Save the crying for your pillow, Kaylee."
Yeah, that's her like personal self-talk.
That was so funny. Like, I was like, okay, Kaylee, you're hilarious. Like that.
Okay. So wait, so second day, right? They're hiking. This is when they stop for a break. We see that Helen has continued to have some problems with her footwear, and now she's got these brutal blisters.
That are black, by the way. Dead skin.
That was the first thing they went over. What do you do when you feel a hot spot? And she was the one that aggressively raised her hand and said, "You take care of it."
Yes.
She did not take care of it.
But they're setting up, I think this is because I think they're pitching this as character growth for Mason. Because then they end up saying, like, well, Mason, you're dangerous because you make people like Helen feel like she can't stop.
And I appreciated Beckett for saying that.
Yes.
Yeah, no, it's true. I mean, that is like so true. But I do feel like they kind of used Helen to pitch the bat for that like character growth that was forced, like
Yes.
Well, and I think we're supposed to see that Helen doesn't attend to problems. She just lets them fester.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good point.
And the feedback is deal with it. It's not address it or whatever it is. It's deal with it, right? And when I hear deal with it, in my brain, I'm thinking,
suck it up.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
so Beckett means take care of it. I can see where maybe that's also, I don't know if that's intentional or not, but I was thinking like, yeah, deal with it is a little unclear. Depends on
Yeah,
like what
that's true.
generation you are, I think.
Yeah.
But
And then nope, go
I
ahead.
was going to say to Whitney's point, though, she did aggressively raise her hand and know what to
She
do
did.
about that. So it is a little weird.
Right. So like she's prepared. We get so many different ideas of who they want us to think she is, because they want us to think, because of that scene where she raises her hand, that she is prepared. But when she's talking to her grandmother, she is unprepared. And then right after we find out about the hot spots, we see that she's not wearing her waist belt for her backpack.
And Mason wastes no time to put the criticism back on her. Come on, Helen.
Don't be a Helen.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah, it's
So
too much.
One other piece here, right? So Helen pulls Jake aside to address her blisters, and I think this is where Helen starts to make fun of him for all of his glasses, and we find out that Jake has a little bit of night blindness, but
Well, we
it's no
find
big
that out
deal.
later. We don't
Well,
find
he
that
alludes
out.
to it though.
Oh, yeah. So no, you're right. You're right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Again, Jake, I feel bad for him. I care about this character. He has, you know what I mean? Like, and Ellie's just mean. Or Helen. Not
Yeah.
Ellie. Helen's yeah.
And
Like,
then
why
they
would you
keep
make fun of somebody like for their like seriously? It doesn't even like I don't even like in this day and age, like nobody would do that.
Right. And this is where she's making, doesn't she make fun of him? He is a doctor, but maybe I'm making that up. Cut this part out. I just made that up.
Well, she does criticize him for having quit being a doctor.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, she does in that scene too?
Well, I don't remember if it's when she's talking to Wendy with an eye, but I
It's
think
when
she
she's
also
yeah.
says something to him about it too. She keeps
Mhm.
making these jabs about him not doing that anymore, which I also just want to say, like, to become a doctor requires a lot. So heaven forbid somebody
clearly.
chooses it's not for them. It's not
Yeah,
like a
like
deficiency of Jake.
yeah, like like be a little more curious, Helen. Like people don't just become a doctor and then quit because they're lazy. Like, come on. Like it's so shallow.
And it's so critical about him going to work with Sea Life. That comes up a couple times. She's like critical of his book. She's critical of him having gone and done that before.
Right.
Yeah.
She doesn't even believe that that's something he could do.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Yeah.
it seems far-fetched. And I feel like she was accusing him of not being truthful. And to be honest, if she wasn't such a hard person to like, I might think that he was lying. Like when he said that's what he was doing, because his mannerisms after that were just kind of matter of fact. He could have been lying, but because we almost distrust her so much that we overcompensate by trusting him.
Right.
Hmm.
Right. That's really interesting. Yeah, I think you're right. I think also like with him, like we're also supposed to be starting to get this vibe where she does actually say it at one point that like he's trying to save everybody. And I feel like if they had put more effort into that, that could be the reason that he's annoying to her.
Mhm.
Like I'm like, oh, there it is. Like they should have used that a little bit more because maybe in their childhood, right, with the tragedy and then the parents leaving and everything that she went through with her brother, like that I could see like that he's got this like righteous friend that like thinks that he can just come in and like save them from all their troubles. Like that nugget right there, I was like, that stood out to me because I was like, there it is. That's the thing. But they didn't use it at all. She just like throws it at him.
Mhm.
And then he's just seems so upset when she's like throwing it at him that I just feel bad. I'm just like, my God, Helen, like calm down.
Well, and what a weird criticism to say when
Yeah.
he's actively helping her.
When he actually is saving your life. Like
Because she's demanding it of him too. Come over here. I actually don't have this problem. I have this one, and I'm trying not to tell the group.
yeah, but you're trying to be a savior, but like, oh, okay, Helen, but you actually do have dangerous blisters and he is saving you. So
Well, anywho, so is it okay if I do some quick hits to move us through this?
yes,
And
yes.
Yeah,
like-
I feel like we can move pretty far ahead. And
Okay, so
yeah.
the quick summary here, we get a little chat among the girls about gratitude and positive psychology. So that's like a little nugget that we're dropping in there. That's the happiness piece, right? Wendy is studying happiness. So it's hiking for beginners. Wendy's studying happiness, hence the title of the movie, Happiness for Beginners. Okay, so we get that piece. At one point, they're at what looks like a very nice tent site, and Helen has dropped her note of her list, and Beckett loses his shit because no littering, right? Leave no trace. He burns that. A lot of banter among the people, a lot of little side chats on the evening, sort of rest time, but nothing too compelling. And then finally, one thing though, when I realized it wasn't a weekend trip, but in fact they'd been out there for 10 days, I suddenly became very aware of how clean everyone looked. The fact that all of the men were clean shaven. Mason still had his nice beard lines, right? Like if they were out in the woods for 10 days, the dudes would all have facial hair. So A.
Mhm.
B, the women's hair would not be nicely groomed,
Yeah.
right? They should look dirty. They don't. They don't look ragtag at all.
Yeah. And
That
the
really
men are
bothered
way
me.
too, yeah, the men are way too, yeah, like Hugh has no facial hair. I mean, I guess you could shave probably out there, but
Yeah, but like somebody should have commented on feeling disgusting. Like I backpack like one night. I wake up in the morning and I'm like, oh my God, I don't know how people
yeah.
do this. I think you must just get used to your own stink. You know what I mean? And the only thing that they do is Kaylee says she doesn't need deodorant. And so that's like the one note. But again, a lot of Patagonia and REI product placement, it felt like. And the scenes where they were in their tents, the tents were very clean. They didn't have any of their shit about. If anybody's
Yeah.
ever slept in a tent, it's not just you, your sleeping pad, and your sleeping bag. Your stuff's all over the place. And they would not carry lanterns. That's two.
Yeah, yeah. Tell me that you're a backpacker without telling me that you're a backpacker.
I mean, I'm not even though. I like go once every 5 years. It's just, I would not choose to carry a lantern. I also probably wouldn't choose those Helix chairs that they had with them.
Yeah.
A lot of
No, you're right.
extra pack weight. A lot of
Yeah.
wardrobe changes, a lot of shoe changes.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. Yeah. And then we go from like bonding in the woods to like getting to the nice tent site, and then we find out that they're just gonna go ahead and split the group up and send
Yeah.
these inexperienced hikers out on their own.
Oh, except they make Mason go with the inexperienced hikers. Is that correct?
Yeah, yeah, that's
Yeah,
part of
that's right.
his
That's what
his
happens.
he has the most character development through the whole thing, honestly.
Yeah, no, you're not wrong. They got one character right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they did. Yeah.
Yes. Yep. So Wendy, Jake, and Beckett take off as the first group. Again, another weird thing here. So they're supposed to be going on the same trail, I think, but they're 30 minutes apart in their departures, and then they're meant to meet back. And I don't understand why they never cross paths.
Or
Yeah.
no, it's they send the faster group first. Like
Yeah, that
Doc
also
and
doesn't make
Wendy
sense.
and Doc and Wendy, Jake and Wendy and Beckett, they go first, which you would
Yeah.
think for safety reasons, let the slower people go first, and then the faster
Weird.
people can catch up and check on them.
The whole thing was weird. The whole thing was weird and forced. No hiking guide would ever send people out alone. Like that's so much of a lie. That is a liability, like beyond liability. Like,
Well, and I
and
think they also put Mason with the slower people because he's supposed to learn the teamwork lesson, not so that he can be the experienced hiker with that group. And then
Right.
I'm thinking now they should have split Jake and Beckett up because presumably Beckett also has some wilderness first aid experience. So that would have made more sense to
yeah,
split the two like emergency people up. And
Mhm.
one thing here though, real quick. So back on the actual story, Jake hands Helen a piece of paper and says, hang on to that, read
oh
it,
yeah,
don't read it now. And then she says, well, what are you going to hang on to? Which felt weird because up until this point, still, there was, you look disgusted, Whitney. There was no rapport between them for her to
Nothing
be
makes
flirty like that.
sense. Nothing
Yeah.
makes sense. If I could take this all back, I wouldn't watch it. And I have to say, I had actually watched most of this movie before you suggested it, and I didn't remember it.
Really?
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's not very memorable, honestly. Like it.
They could have done
Interesting.
better. Anyway,
Yeah.
let's go. So Helen has that piece of paper from Jake, and I think he says, open it when you feel like the time is right, or something like that.
Yeah.
I don't
Right.
even know.
I don't even
know.
remember. Definitely open it later at some
Yeah,
point.
not now.
Right,
Yeah.
but that was it. Scene over.
Yeah. And then they go out, they split up, which is like not what you do on a backpacking trip. And Hugh breaks his leg. And that scene,
How does Hugh break his leg?
stepping on a fucking log. Like, it's like, come on at this point. And it's coming when he goes out and he like kind of runs off like a little kid. It's like not even in his character, like he kind of like flits off. Like, and Hugh, that didn't really line up for me either. I was like, what is he doing? Like, yeah, but anyway, then he like
And he
also
smacks
like,
his head on the log.
yeah, like gets knocked out, which that part made me cringe because I was like, oh my, like I actually felt like that affected me a little bit because I was like, what an emergency they have now. Like, that's
Mhm.
bad. And
Yep.
this is why you don't fucking send your inexperienced hikers out alone, Beckett. Like, how about
Oh,
I
but this
get
was
like
the
Beckett?
important part for Mason, right? This is where his character
Yeah,
development started to happen because he was supposed to be the one in charge and
yeah,
he started to panic. And that's when Helen stepped up. And here we go,
yeah.
starting to get to any sort of character development for her.
Right, right, right. Yeah. Mason can't hang. He can't handle he can't take the heat.
Yeah.
And yeah, Helen starts to step it up a little bit. And we're supposed to be all like, oh wow, look at her. She's like growing.
Well, right. And she takes charge and then she says she'll go back and get help. And this is where we're supposed to have some comedy relief too, because she starts walking one direction and then immediately turns around and cuts back across the screen. But it's just so far gone at that point.
It's not funny too, because I'm just like, oh my God, now Helen's gonna die. Like, okay, cool. Split up and then you go alone. Yes, great. Yes, this is all good.
Yes.
Yeah, and it's so hard for me to believe because she is literally the worst participant on this trip. It is hard for me to believe that she would be the one that they were going to rely on to guide her way back to camp and get help.
I would, if I look in that scene, if I was Kaylee, and it really to me would be Kaylee because she's the one that was like constantly surprising us, you know. If I was Kaylee, I would be like, nope, you stay here. I'm going. You know,
Or Mason, right? Mason can't handle the injury. I'm surprised he didn't just duck out.
he should have gone. Yeah, because he would hike really fast. You know, he
Yep.
would it would give him like a purpose. Like, yeah, he was the obvious choice, but he's supposed to be all exasperated. But like, I think
Right.
that would have obviously been the right choice. But
Right.
anyway,
Helen makes
or
her way
or
back.
Mason and Ellie go together maybe because you shouldn't go off alone and do that. But anyway,
Right.
yeah,
She makes her way back to camp. We see a
yep.
little scene with, Jake, Beckett, and Wendy. Well, Wendy doesn't seem too concerned, but Jake and Beckett do, sitting around the campfire and trying to figure out what to do.
Oh, I didn't even like notice that. Yeah. Okay. So she makes it back. She lets them know like what's going on. They're like, okay, well, we have to sleep out here.
And can we say it is nighttime? Like
Yes.
the
Like
other
dark.
team should have been panicking.
Yes. Not just
Okay.
like discussing.
Yes.
Okay, continue.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. And
yes.
also if they're just going out and back half an hour, we had ample opportunity to go find this group like 7 times over.
Yeah,
Sorry.
Beckett
Well-
should have just been doing laps the whole time.
Yeah. I could have
Yeah.
run that in 10 minutes. Like
Well, I don't think
you
the
know.
hike was a half hour. I think they had a start
Right,
gap
they
of
were
a half
spread
hour.
out
Oh,
30
okay.
minutes
Okay.
apart.
Yeah.
Okay.
Also, okay, so another weird thing. The whole time we've had camp scenes, the tent situation has been based on gender, it seems. But suddenly, even though there's Beckett, Jake, Wendy, and Helen, Helen and Jake end up in a tent together.
Yeah, that was forced too.
Yeah, it was weird.
I mean, it was like a nice little scene, but that's why is it happening?
Well, they had to do it so that Helen could get a little vulnerable with Jake, tell the story about her younger brother.
And so that Jake can lean in and have that look in his eye.
Yes.
Because again, he definitely brought all the sexual tension to any scene between them. He brought
Mhm.
it.
Yep.
And I think that's a credit to that actor because I think he's supposed to be bringing it, you know?
Mhm.
Yes.
Yeah.
But they get mad at each other because Helen found out that Jake kissed Wendy as a part of a game, and Jake is upset with Helen because she's always acting like she wants to take the phone call from the ex-husband.
Mhm.
Again, kind of weird because we only ever hear about that once. So
Also, how would he know? Seems like they have no contact with each other, like
Yep.
other outside of this camping trip.
right. So they accuse each other of being jealous boyfriend or jealous girlfriend. And
Right.
then
This is the necessary, this is the mandatory rom-com fight.
yes. But then the vulnerability story that we've already talked about a little bit, but Helen shares that her younger brother passed away when she was 6 and he was 5, and then Duncan was born, and then her father left them, and then her mother dropped her at Gigi's house and pieced out, and so they were raised by Gigi, and Jake has some empathy for the brother and tries to talk about their strained relationship a little bit. So important for the, again, character development, but kind of forced.
I mean, Jake's a good friend, you know?
Yeah, but right after Helen finally tells her story, Jake's like, "Well, we should probably get some sleep."
Yeah, I know. I would feel so weird if I was her and I just told some dude all this and he's like, all right, good night. I would be like,
And
oh,
then and
fuck.
then he reaches forward and turns off the very large, bulky, heavy lantern that shouldn't be on the backpacking trip.
Oh, Lauren, I know. I
They
know.
should have a headlamp dangling from the top, like
Yes, 100%. That's what it would be. Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. So, after their talk, like, there's like, they go to save him, right? There's kind of like acknowledgement that like Helen saved the day. Like Beckett's kind of like, oh yeah, like you're the MVP. Like,
Yeah, you did
just
something
like,
right. Good job.
yeah, you
Is
did
what he
something
says.
right, which I would be like, fuck you, bro. Like, but
Is
anyway.
I do have a question. Is this where we find out what's really happening to Jake with his eyesight? Does he share that with her here?
Not yet.
No, it's not
Because
yet.
I know it comes together later.
Yeah, no, he says that he alludes to it with the scene where she makes fun of him for the glasses.
Right.
And then
Okay, so we're not
later
there
on,
yet.
yeah.
After they get Hugh taken care of, we get a couple scenes of like some
Mhm.
super teamwork.
Yep.
Hugh screams when they pick up his gurney thing, and that just made me cringe so much because I just couldn't imagine, like, he has a broken leg and just something about that was hard.
Yeah, Hugh did Nico Santos, right? Did a really good job
No, he did.
acting through that scene.
Yeah, he definitely did. Like, I felt his pain. Like, that's
Yeah.
why I say, like, these are good actors and actresses. It's not that, like, at all.
Yeah.
But yeah, so they do their teamwork, they get him taken care of, then they come back to the camp, and they're probably feeling bonded from that. And then
Then they
Jake
have a
is like
0 day.
missing. What?
Well, then they have their 0 day, so they just
Oh,
they
they
go
just
to
hang out.
they go to the Painted Meadow, I think that's Beckett's
Yes.
favorite place, and then
Yeah.
and then there's this little montage that looks like it ought to have an advertisement for some kind of medication being done over it. It's all these little combinations of the characters fishing, having a chat, looking at the
Mhm.
water, and all I can think is, are you sad?
Yes, it does look like a depression commercial. That's such a good point.
Yeah.
Oh my
Um,
God.
yeah. And Mason now is like a nice guy that likes everybody and he's humbled. And
Uh-huh.
Helen talks to Beckett, and Beckett is vulnerable for a second because that's where his father used to take him fishing. And then he immediately gets back into aggressive tour guide mode.
Which, Lauren, does that not remind
I
you
know.
of the person that this reminds us of?
No,
Like,
I know.
it's
I
like
know.
crazy. It's like the same person. It's weird.
Yeah, just enough vulnerability to make you take the aggressive communication a little longer. Yeah.
Yeah, because really nobody would like put up with that shit.
Yeah. And now here's where that night Jake is nowhere to be found. And Helen
Yes.
goes looking for him, and he is scared, huddled in the very dark forest next to a tree because he is losing his sight. It's a genetic disorder for his vision, and he couldn't find his way back.
Why did he go out there in the first place?
Mason said he was looking for more fishing spots.
Yeah, I don't think Jake would
I have
do
no
that.
idea.
Oh, but you know what? He said that he dropped his glasses, so maybe he was going back to look for his glasses. And then he said he was looking for them, and then it got dark, and he had been doing it for too long.
I'm not one to talk because I also get trapped in the woods in the dark sometimes because I'm an idiot. Like, I just don't
Well,
think
you're not an
Jake's that
idiot.
much of an idiot.
No, neither of you is an idiot, but you both do have a habit of dropping things in the forest, I think. So what's that?
Yeah. But that scene, like, again, like, Jake, I feel like that actor did a pretty good job. Like, he looked pretty scared, and I felt really bad for him in that
Mhm.
moment. I was like, that made me want to cry actually a little bit when he was like, I'm scared. Like,
Mhm.
that hit me in my core. I was like, oh my God, I want to take care of this guy. Like, I felt bad,
Mhm.
And I think this is where, when Helen saw how scared he was, this is when I feel like the first time she started to see him as a human and not this annoying guy she has to be around.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I think this scene really helped. If I'm going to
Yeah.
pay a compliment.
Yeah,
If
for
this scene-
sure.
This scene really helped us realize she's seeing him now.
If I'm gonna pay a compliment.
If I have to.
The movie thanks you.
Well, and then they almost make out, but then somebody has come looking for them as well.
Yeah. And I think
But
like in my only thought in that scene was like, I'm pretty sure you'd still kiss each other. You would just be like, okay, we're coming, and then you would just do it. Like, but anyway, that's movie stuff. That would be any movie. Like
mhm.
that would like
And
disrupt
that's
them.
fine. Build the
Yeah.
sexual chemistry, build the tension again. It's okay. Try one more time.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. Yeah. We'll try.
Yeah, and back to your point, Jenna, he is really sweet here because as they walk back to camp, did you notice that he's holding onto her arm?
Yeah.
For guidance?
No, I literally when I saw that, and my thought during this whole scene was like, I hope she doesn't take advantage of him. Like, because he is a really, really sweet guy, and he could probably easily be consumed by some mean woman. You know what I mean?
I just had a thought. What if he actually, and again, we have no evidence, even like in the flashback for the wedding, which was way before he figured out he was going to eventually be blind. My thought was maybe he was an asshole and he already had his character development off screen leading into his diagnosis. Like maybe he was this guy that she found annoying and he did annoying things, but then he had his moment off screen away from her and she's getting caught up. I don't know.
No, that's again where your 6-part series would have played in a little better because then we could see a little bit more of Jake's life, and I think it would have helped a little bit to see that. Yeah, because you're right. Maybe he wasn't he found out he was sick and it changed his life. But we don't get any of that. We just get her being needlessly mean.
Well, this movie does make me think about our conversation about Sweet Home Alabama a lot because we collectively didn't seem to like Reese Witherspoon's character, and but acknowledged the character development, right? So that was like a whole conversation, and I think with this one, 6-part series, but how is it that Sweet Home Alabama managed to do all this stuff in like 90 minutes? I mean, those characters were true. They were nuanced, sharp, like you knew, you know what I mean? Like even to the minor characters, all the way to the minor characters, they were all so compelling. I don't understand why this one just missed the mark.
Because it's Netflix writers. That's why
I think in Sweet Home Alabama, they all, they would be interacting with other people, but in those interactions, they would be telling a story. So not only did we get the present interaction, but we got the insight to the past. And they did that really well, kind of like overlapping it. So we were like learning at double the speed, like we were learning one thing at the same time.
I think you just hit the nail on the head. I think that's what it is, because all the interactions in this movie are present day interactions, and they don't show us anything about that. I think you just hit the nail on the head.
Yeah. That's true.
Yeah. All right.
Okay. Well,
so
they go back to camp, even though they just were going to make out in the woods. As soon as the first snow of the season happens, Wendy aggressively kisses Jake on the side of the face, on his cheek. That's the other way to say that.
He didn't react to her though. But he didn't react to her. You know what I mean?
It seemed like an aggressive greeting to him.
They actually show Wendy just kind of giving up on him a little bit, right? Because he didn't react. He walks away. She's just standing there for a second, and then she walks over to the group. She's like, "This is great," right? Like I think Wendy gave it up in that moment.
Yeah, but Helen stalks off. Like Helen doesn't try at all, and Jake doesn't really do anything to fix that either.
Yeah,
they both.
Yeah, it was a little awkward.
They both leave the moment, and everybody else is in awe with the snowfall.
It was definitely an awkward scene, for sure.
I'm just saying, they just almost made out, and then they just let it go right away.
All right, bring us to the finish line, Lauren.
Okay, all right. So next morning, they're about to hike out. Beckett has a whole, thank you to Mother Nature speech, and Mason gets a new trail name because he has changed so much. Thing that I learned here is that deers represent change. Deer, not deers. Deer. Wow, this is like a real top-notch vocab episode for me. The deer represent change, so Mason gets a new trail name based on that, and then I think Wendy gets to guide them out, which is a big honor.
No, Kaylee, right?
Kaylee does?
Yeah, I think so.
I think Kaylee does too.
Yeah.
Okay. So Beckett has successfully indoctrinated everyone into his cult, and they make their way out of the woods. We're back at the motel now. The motel employee gets her time to shine. running karaoke again.
Yeah.
We learn that Helen does not get the certificate for the best backpacker because everybody voted for Hugh, who got injured, which
Was supposed to be funny, I think, again, but did not end up funny. Like that was a failed attempt at comedy right there.
yeah, and Helen, her development is that she doesn't care about the certificate anymore because I think we're
Right.
supposed to think it's not about what happens on paper, it's what
Yeah.
really happens to you on the inside. But then again, Wendy is trying to flirt with Jake. Mason says she really won't give it up because Jake is taken. He has somebody back home. Helen doesn't realize that that's her and then decides to just leave that night instead of stay and leave in the morning. She like leaves.
I know. Jake could have done
And
more in the parking lot, I think.
yeah, and Jake's like, "Won't you stay?" And she says no.
I know. That was so frustrating. I'm like, oh my God, just say it. Why would I stay? You have somebody at home. This is weird.
I
Why
know,
did we do
literally
this?
anybody could say anything ever. But
Yeah, like
so
Jake could be like, wait, no, don't leave. Like it's you, it's you.
yep. And then Wendy, the mother of positive psychology, apparently comes out and they do one more little gratitude session. And then Helen gets in the car. Now she's singing a song. She criticizes herself for singing a Romeo and Juliet song and then is excited but weirded out that she likes Jake and notably does not call the ex-husband.
Right.
Gets back. Goop Senior says she seems like she's in love.
Right. These
The
are all
brother,
rom-com tropes that they're just forcing into the movie, honestly.
yeah, the brother comes home. She says that she appreciates him and apologizes. He's got that same smile on the whole time where he's not really engaged in anything or
Yeah.
allowing himself to be emotionally vulnerable. They go to the book club party
Which
with,
is a wild party, by the way,
yes, it is wild. And
for book
then
club.
suddenly in
Wait.
walks
What?
Okay, I'm gonna bring it up, but also I can't even add to it. It's only because I have it pulled up. She after she gets home and everything, she realizes she still has the note from Jake.
Oh,
oh
yes. That was important, Wendy.
But I don't remember exactly what was in it. Do you, Laura?
Yeah, it was a love poem.
Mhm.
It was just like I think it was just like he wrote it, right?
Well,
Yes,
he did not. He was not the author of it, but he wrote it down.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like a long poem about love
and it was just a confirmation that the love that he had was for her and not for someone else.
see, that
right?
would not have made me think that. That would have just made me think that he wrote me a love poem, but that he also has a girlfriend. Like I don't I wouldn't have gotten that from that, you know?
Yeah.
Like, but anyway, it works for her.
I don't love that she only starts to love him when she realizes that he loves her.
Yeah.
Yeah, she didn't even give him a chance.
Yeah,
No.
it's kind of sad for Jake. Again, nice
Yes.
guy. Think he's gonna be eaten up by kind of a mean lady. That's what I think.
Well, and if Helen is supposed to have developed her personal character through this
Yeah.
hiking trip, then I think if before she was quote unquote dealing with things by just not attending to them, it seems like she has not changed at all. She's just going with the flow because now Jake has expressed interest in her.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of weird. But anyway, they're at the party, they're dancing, they're having a good time.
She thinks
Jake
she's
shows
dancing with
up.
her brother, and then Jake
Yeah.
shows up and
They start dancing, they have their kiss. It's terrible.
she says something like, "Do you
Don't
want to?"
say it like that, Jenna.
Well, she says something.
Why
This
did
was
you
weird
like
to
it?
me.
It's so much worse than that. Go ahead, Lauren.
Okay. Oh
Oh
shit.
my God. Well, all I
That's
was going to
funny.
say is they have that moment where they're dancing and she says something like, "Do you want to see me dance?" Which is like a weird thing to say.
Yeah.
He says, "Do you want to dance with me?" And then she says, "Do you want to see me dance?" And I'm thinking, well, that's odd. And
Like,
then he says,
no,
"As
he
long
wants
as
to
I
dance
can."
with you.
Right, but he says, "As long as I can," which felt odd also. Like, I know he's going blind, but it just felt like a weird, like, am
Yeah.
I supposed to feel even more in love with this love because this guy is going to really need her? Like, I don't know what that was meant to do. And yeah, Jenna, you can, well, or Whitney, if you want to describe what happens next.
It's terrible.
They had moments of sexual tension in this movie, basically without even trying. And then you get to this moment where she is saying she will help take care of him. They're basically acknowledging that they love each other. They want to give it a shot. And if this wasn't the most pathetic peck on the mouth that I've ever seen, I was so disappointed. If you were going to build it up like that, finish it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it was so disappointing. And I swear to you, I said out loud, this is it? The movie's over. The movie's over.
That I agree. That kiss, I literally thought to myself, like, okay, take us back to the beginning where he had his hand over her on the wall, because that would have been better. Like, yeah.
And I know I warned you. So
you did.
Did you find this? Did you feel the same as the movie went on?
Here's the thing. I think, I'm not sure if your warning like impacted me or not. I don't know, because for me, I think I was so annoyed throughout the whole movie that I was only receiving genuine tension from Jake, and that's it. Like,
yes.
it almost felt more like his sexual tension was affecting me and not the character.
Yeah, no, I agree.
I didn't feel like they had any chemistry, like, and I feel like that really showed itself for the kiss. Although I will say, I do think there was potential for chemistry. Like I said, take us back to when they were in the hallway in the motel and he had his arm up on the wall and he was kind of man spreading on her, because in that moment, I do think there was like, if a kiss had happened there, it would have been like sexy, you know what I mean?
Yes.
But that was it. So yeah, I don't know. I just fucking hated the whole thing. I'm not gonna lie.
I got up to grab a tissue from the other room at one point. I was like, don't worry about pausing it. I'm not missing anything.
She was like, I have to blow my nose. Don't pause it. I threw my notebook on the ground, like, like at the kiss. Right at the kiss, I literally closed my notebook and I threw it on the ground and I was like, I'm done. I'm done.
I almost texted you guys like, are you sure? Like, should we actually record something about this?
No, I'm glad we did, because we can't just like be actually in love with all the movies.
Yeah, we gotta have standards,
Yeah. We have something to compare it to.
Yeah. I think, and then the one final piece. So at the very end, we get little outtakes where Beckett is saying, okay, people, over and over and again.
Yeah. You
and
guys
Jenna,
said that perfectly in time with each other.
Yeah, Jenna was so over it at that point. She's like, this isn't even funny. This isn't even funny. People think this is funny. It's not funny, Beckett.
I hated Beckett. I'm biased. Yeah.
All right, hang on, listen. Wait, let me find the right spot for it.
Oh, you're gonna play it?
I'm gonna play it. I gotta pause it in time and then unmute it.
I gotta go blow my nose.
All right, ready?
Yeah.
Okay, people. Okay, people. Okay, people. Okay, people.
Can you hear it?
Okay,
yeah.
People.
Okay.
Okay, people. Okay, people.
Ugh.
Jenna, I'm sorry, and I understand what you're saying, but he's like the one character that was exactly who he was supposed to be.
I know. Didn't work for me.
Well, I think the fact that you're so frustrated because it reminds you of a real person is actually the highest compliment you could pay to this character.
Actually,
that's true.
Yeah, you're probably right about that. Yeah. All right. Well, then Beckett's the MVP. Would you date Jake? First of all, let me just start off by saying the only person that I would date in this movie is Mason.
End of Hike Mason. You mean.
End of Hike Mason, because I kind of like that guy. I really kind of did. So that's it for me. I would not date the main characters though. How about you guys?
I think Jake was charming.
Yeah.
I do agree. I think Jake was charming, but I found his puppy dog persona to be not a good fit for me. Yeah.
That's a diplomatic way of saying it. It's not a good fit for me.
Obviously I wouldn't want to be in the same room with Helen.
Yeah, no. Yeah, she's fucking terrible. What about you, Lauren?
Well, yeah, so Jake, he's a smart guy, he's a nice guy, he's active, he seems like he'd be into adventures. Yeah, I like Jake. Helen,
you would date him?
Yeah.
You would date
Yeah.
Jake. Yeah, I'm on Whitney's
Why
side
you
on
keep
that one.
repeating me?
I'm just asking. I'm on
You're
Whitney's
like,
side with
say
that
it,
one
say it.
because no, I know. Sorry, I didn't mean to do that. I was just curious, like, because I agree with Whitney on the puppy dog thing. I don't like that. I don't. I. It's there's nothing wrong with it. I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that would like that about him, but I agree with you. I don't. It doesn't turn me on.
See, I didn't get puppy dog from him though.
Oh,
I thought it
really?
was, yeah, no, I didn't get that from him. I thought that he was interesting too because he was, maybe this is also my own bias, but like I liked that he was interested in the animal, like the wildlife thing. Like I thought that was cool. He's like willing to uproot himself and go. Like he follows his
Okay,
interests.
Wendy.
Well, I could also let me argue my own point
Yeah.
with his puppy dog thing, because I guess I could also argue that his puppy dog thing came across because he was very patient and
Mhm.
he didn't try to manipulate her or try to force her to do something. I mean, he was very patient and he was long-term goals, not short-term goals, you know?
So
You're
what
like,
you're saying is you want to be manipulated and forced.
No,
I'm just kidding. I'm
I
just
was
kidding.
saying that's why he came across as a puppy dog, because he sat back and watched a lot.
I would want to be Jake's best friend. I would totally be friends with that guy. I would take him with me everywhere I go. I would love him. I would care for him. I just wouldn't want to date him. That's all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Honestly, I loved Kaylee the most because
Yeah,
that
she
secret
was.
when
Yeah.
what she was good at for a living, I understood why she would join a group to go out into the wilderness, because
Yeah.
isn't she like a tech nerd?
Yes.
she said she's a trader. She like trades metals. She
Right.
knows
Yeah.
way more than Mason. And then she said that she signs up for these little trips to get herself away from the desk.
Yeah, I think she was almost the most relatable.
Yeah,
and
no,
I thought she was a pretty cool person. She probably would be cool in real life.
I
Yeah.
would watch a Kaylee spinoff. Yeah, like I would be. Yeah, I agree. She'd be cool in real life. I would also want to be her. I would honestly want to be Hugh's friend, Kaylee's friend. I didn't like the millennial character that was supposed to be silent. I was just like, there's
Oh,
nothing
yeah.
here. I don't understand why we had to point out that she was a millennial too, because fucking everybody in this movie is a millennial. So that's
Yeah.
weird.
Whitney, that character was also in Guardians of the Galaxy.
Sue?
Kaylee?
Kaylee.
Kaylee?
Yeah.
What are
Interesting.
I guess they just borrowed.
I would like to see her in more movies. I think she has so much potential. And Hugh.
Okay. Ratio of rom to com. I'm gonna go ahead and say 0.
I'm gonna say
com.
0 rom, 0 com. Like I'm gonna say I laughed once and I felt sexual tension once.
Yeah.
So-
So
Yeah.
50-50, I guess.
Yeah.
That's pretty funny.
Yeah, are we counting negative space here? Like
But
all
as
right.
far as I know, we have the I know Lauren is on Sweet Home Alabama so far for her favorite one. Is that right? And we're
Mhm.
on The Wedding Singer.
Yes.
Yeah.
I know that Lauren's favorite is going to change soon when we get to her favorite movie. So
Yes.
no big deal.
So
Yeah.
let's great segue, Whitney.
Well, hang on.
Okay.
What's our third question here? Our third question.
Favorite quotes.
Favorite quotes.
Oh yeah, I got mine. I already said it. Save the crying for your pillow, Kaylee. That was so funny.
I didn't even write one down, and I think that I would have to just take yours, Jenna, because that is the only time I really laughed.
Mine would probably have to be when Beckett said immediately, like he never held back, and I appreciate it. He said, "You're the problem." Like, he
Yeah.
called her out immediately, and I
Yeah.
liked that.
Yeah.
That was a good one too.
One other thing I want to throw in there. So I looked at Wikipedia because I was trying to find supporting fact about the ages of everybody because I'm
Yeah.
really stuck on that. But I then went down to the area titled reception. And it says from Wikipedia on the review aggregator website Rotten Tomatoes, 33% of 27 critics' reviews are positive with an average rating of 4.9 out of 10. The
I think that's
website's
generous.
I do too.
I do too.
The website's consensus reads, a bland journey of self-discovery that's too inoffensive to stand out in a crowded genre. This romantic comedy offers little happiness for beginners or viewers at any other level. I think that's such a good scathing review.
That is scathing, and it makes me feel bad for the
Oh.
actors and the actresses because it's not their fault, and I'm so sure of that. I'm so sure.
I think it is so accurate.
Yeah, it is. Oh, poor Ellie Kemper and like, oh, I feel bad, man. Like that must be so hard to read as an actor, you know.
I think a lot of them don't read it.
I think that
Yeah.
was probably just for a quick paycheck. I bet it took them a week to
Yeah.
film.
Yeah, no, really though. That does, yeah, it probably was a quick one. Yeah.
Yeah. They could have gotten their script day of filming, and that could be an
Yeah.
issue.
Maybe they knew what they were doing.
Yeah.
Well,
Okay, well, next week we are going to be doing with your sister, right? Isn't that the next one?
yes, yes. I am so glad you piped in because I was going to say something inaccurate.
Yes, you were. I knew it.
Yes, so we are gonna have a guest star next week who is my sister, and we are going to watch shit. I don't know the name of it.
It sounds like a good. Sounds good.
It's gonna be great.
Better
though, I
than this
promise.
one.
I'm sure it's something
It
along the
will not
lines
be better
of
than this one, but
something
it will
along
be
the lines
funny.
of Home for Christmas.
With yes, starring Lindsay Lohan, which is gonna be great.
Right.
What is it
Yeah,
really
and
called? Let me just look real quick.
this is my sister's favorite holiday movie. It's becoming a tradition that we watched it last year. We're gonna watch it this year.
Mm.
Oh, my sister is she's a character, so I'm really looking forward to having her on for that.
If you thought Jenna
Awesome.
was fun,
Yeah, no,
just
I don't
wait.
even hold a candle to her. She is such a character.
Falling for Christmas.
Oh, yes. How can I forget? Falling for Christmas. And remember that, people, because the title says a lot about the movie.
And I just want you to know that on IMDb, it has 5.2 out of 10. So 0.3 better than this one and 62% on Rotten Tomatoes. So
Okay.
Oh,
something to look
Well,
forward to.
And if if you want to go ahead and watch the movie before we get to it, like it's on the Hallmark
Netflix.
Channel.
No, it was
Right?
another Netflix movie.
Oh,
Yes.
okay. All right, my bad. I
I
thought it
have
was
a-
the Hallmark.
I have a question because you just said if you guys want to watch it ahead of time. Do you guys listen to podcasts where they go over movies, and do you
Yes,
watch the movies before or after they talk about it?
I do. I listen to a few. I listen to maybe 3 or 4 different movie podcasts, and
Mhm.
no, I don't.
Me
Although
either.
sometimes it's inspired me to watch a movie though. Like I've every now and then I'm like, oh, you know what? Now that I hear this, I want to go watch that. But yeah, no, I don't give a shit about watching it.
Yeah, same. So
Yeah.
I just it's a way for me to stay busy while watching a movie in my head, and I love it. I love
Yes.
listening to recaps of it.
Yeah.
I
No,
I don't
yeah, I
listen
feel the same way.
I don't listen to a ton, but when I have, I feel like I have like a working list of titles that I want to watch. And so if there's a podcast about one that I actually want to watch, I don't listen to it until I've watched it.
Oh, see,
Oh,
I
interesting.
start the
Yeah.
podcast to see if I am interested in starting it.
Yeah, I come at it from that angle as well because I also historically I sometimes my attention span is not great and I think a
Oh,
lot of
really?
the time it is that shocking to you? And if I listen to a good podcast or about the movie before I go into it, I actually tend to follow the movie a little better.
Mhm.
Yeah. So it helps me.
Yeah.
It's my guide.
I just
With
feel
all
like
that being, go ahead.
I was just gonna say every time we go to start one of these movies, I feel like I'm approaching it with Jenna now like a highway on ramp that's very long. It's like you got to pitch starting to watch the movie like an hour out, and then you got to cue it up on the TV, and then you got to hit play once so that she can remember all the other things she meant to do, and then we start it for like a third time, and then actually get to watch it.
I don't know. I'm like, wait, I have to go to the bathroom. Wait, I want to eat an edible. Wait, I'm hungry. Wait, I need water. Wait, I want to get a cup of tea.
Wait,
Damn it,
what are
where's
we
my
watching
notebook?
again?
Yeah. Wait, yeah, I need another edible. Oh, I need to take Jack on a walk. Like,
It's so painful.
yeah.
Anyway,
Oh man. All right. Well, thanks guys. This was hilarious and fun, honestly. Like, the worse the movie, the better the conversation.
Apparently,
Yeah.
yes.
All right. Well, I cannot wait to see you guys next week for Falling for Christmas featuring Lindsay Lohan guest starring Trisha Hetzel as my hilarious sister.